So much good news, so many wonderful numbers. There's so much great stuff happening. We are going to rip into it on a Sunday. I'm in a very good mood. It's on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give me a strong 8 in terms of moods. That's good for me on a Sunday. That's very good for me on a Sunday. How are you doing over there? Scale of 1 to 10. How you feeling?
I'm about at a 4.5.
Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah.
What happened? We got to address that. If you're clocking in at a 4.5, what happened?
Oh, just like a long week where I didn't get the things done that I wanted to do, and yeah,
Okay.
just that kind of stuff.
I feel you. You know what I just did? Do you know what I just did?
What?
Finished a list of things I have to tackle tomorrow.
Really?
It's a big list. It's a big list. But it's all exciting stuff. It's all good stuff. It's all like things that you have to do, but your life will be better if you do them, that kind of stuff. And just in just making the list, just being that active, I'm like, ooh, now I'm kind of looking forward to tomorrow. I'm going to give myself the rest of the day. I'm going to do some puttering around, do some light maintenance, probably put some stuff on the loftusparty.com, but that's about it. And then tomorrow, ooh, I'm like a hungry jaguar with a photographer's arm in the cage. I am tearing into it.
I don't know if I'm tearing into it, but I do have a list for tomorrow, and we're just gonna go. Oh, like just as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I go to see Shazam, which looks like a reasonably good, cute, fun movie, right?
I would agree. I would agree.
We get to the end, well, close to the end, the big scene at the end, where he lands on the back porch, right?
Easy, spoiler alert.
I just said he landed on the back porch.
Okay, so now I know he lives.
From the preview. I don't do spoilers. And the projector broke.
Oh, no.
So now I have no idea how the movie ends, so I can't really spoil it for you. And,
Wait a second. So what did you do? First of all, I'm like, what year? Are you time traveling to see movies? The projector broke.
It broke. They could not fix it. They tried. I mean, we were sitting there for 20, 25 minutes while they were trying to get this thing going. And so they gave us all free movie tickets. And I'm like, well, but I'm not going to use this ticket to come back and see a movie that I've already seen 3/4 of. So I'm like, I'm screwed until it comes on Netflix.
Oh, boy. Tell you what we'll do.
What?
I'll go see it this week, and then I'll walk you through the end. I'm really good at describing movies.
Actually,
I'm really good. It's like you're there.
Actually, our good friend artist Angie, when I alerted her on Twitter because she put out a no spoiler review on Twitter, I said, yeah, I'd love to be able to agree with you, but the projector broke. I missed like the last 15 minutes. Might have only been 10. I'm not really sure. She's like, do you want me to break it down for you in DM? I'm like, yeah, could you please? So she's like, what was the last thing you saw? And I told her, and she's like, all right, here you go. And she gave me a very colorful account. I still just visually haven't seen it, though.
Yeah. Well, you have to do that. Listen, that's a drag. That's a real drag. This is just a fun little story about how I grew up. I had a sister who worked at the local movie theater. It was right around the corner. You could walk there. And it was so great having a sibling who worked at a movie theater. I could just pop in at any point and just see. At one point, they were showing Star Wars, right? Like they would do first run movies and then they would do second run movies. It was really weird. It was like a mom and pop movie theater. And they were like showing Star Wars again. And I would just be walking around the neighborhood with my buddies. I'm like, hold on, I want to see what part they're on. And like if they were about to blow up the Death Star, I would stay and watch it. It was the best. It was fantastic. Yeah. So that really blows. That really blows because now you have to commit like what are you supposed to commit another like 90 minutes of your life just to see the last 15 minutes?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm waiting until it comes out on Netflix or one of the streaming services, and then I can just fast forward it to the part I missed.
It's movie interruptus, which is the worst.
That's exactly what it was. But I mean, I'm just like sitting there going, okay, this is just so emblematic of like my entire week to this point. This is so perfect.
Oh boy. Boy,
yeah.
we're going to have to get on that later. So here's what I'm into.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, I'm a little bummed out. They changed the way Facebook displays on your phone. I don't know how many pages you have or pages you manage. I have my personal little Facebook page that I never touch, you guys. I never go there. To Michael Loftus, my personal. I haven't posted there. I haven't done anything there in a million years. I kind of look at the fan page, Michael Loftus, but all of my efforts are on the Loftus Party.
Mm-hmm.
Guess how big our reach is now? I'll tell you. Don't guess because it might be embarrassing. We had a 250,000 people.
Well, that's awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, yeah.
I think it's ginormous and wonderful. So I wanted to thank everybody for sharing the videos and the posts. That's a huge number.
Mm-hmm.
233,000 people. Holy moly. So I set these benchmarks for myself, first of all, I was very upset with Facebook, for changing. I can't stand it. Like you learn how to do something, you like the way it's laid out, and then they go, oh, we moved this button over here to make it blah blah blah. But anyway, 250,000 people. That's very huge. That's very huge. And the Twitter, holy smoke, the Twitter done blown up. That was fantastic. I want to do a big shout out to Terrence K. Williams. I did this thing on stage because it's just got to suck. Poor Terrence was in that car accident on his way to the White House, fractured spine, fractured neck, and he's got to wear this neck brace, and he can barely sleep because he has to wear it 24 hours a day, and yada yada. So I gave him a shout out from stage at the Tacoma show of the Deplorables stand-up comedy show, and the crowd was going crazy. And Terrence, God bless him, he loved it and he retweeted it, and it's wild. The new followers came in droves. So welcome aboard, everybody. Hopefully, some of you are checking out the podcast.
The pate.
Yeah. So everything's very good. I'm very positive about everything. YouTube, a lot of growth there. It's all good. I love it when it just works organically. When cool people get together and do fun stuff, and then people share it, and it's just all wonderful and good. We got a new dude on Patreon.
Yeah.
This guy's awesome. I'm not going to shout out anybody by name here, but I want to thank all the Patreon people. Soon, some ads are going to be purchased, and so that's the plan. If you're on Patreon, you're helping out. The new dude is fantastic. I met this guy in Cincinnati, and he made these really cool like baseball jerseys that said "Deplorable Tour" on them, and it had names on the back. He's just an awesome guy, and so he's kicking in a little dough on Patreon, which is fantastic. You guys, you can as little or as much as you want to do. It's all going towards making the reach bigger, more people. That's our best defense in this crazy world of shutting down free speech and the crazy world of censorship. I saw Christiana Ampur say some real craziness to Jim Comey on CNN yesterday or the other day. So we'll talk about that. I'm making a little note to write about that. So the Patreon thing's going great. We're gonna I'm getting together with an editor. That costs a couple bucks, yada yada. I just feel like I have to justify it's when people are like donating on Patreon, I really feel like I owe them an explanation of here's what I'm gonna do. It's a really good idea. I feel solid about it. I've done my research. So we're going to put together a little ad for the LoftusParty.com and all things Loftus Party, and we're going to start running that on various platforms, and it'll be awesome, and we'll continue to grow.
Well,
So here's what we do. If you're new to the podcast, we like break down what we think are the biggest stories in politics and also pop culture, hopefully with humorous tones and with just enough fist shaking at the skies. However, we also like to offer solutions. That's the other big thing that I'm very proud about. So we bitch about stuff and we try to figure out ways to fix them. This goes across the spectrum: politics, pop culture, everything that's going on. Here's what's on my radar this week. I've discovered a couple things. This whole Mueller report.
Oh, God.
And now the focus on Trump's taxes. This is I think the whole taxes thing is just incredibly dangerous. Congress is just wasting everybody's time with the Mueller report and this whole everyone voted 695 to 0 to come out with the Mueller report. Everyone, even the president is
They all
now.
voted to break the law.
Well, it says in that thing that everybody voted for 695 million to 0 within the confines of the law.
Yeah, but they never
That's
say
in
that
the
part.
they never say that part, but they all voted like, hey, once the attorney general goes through it and makes sure that we're not going to get someone in trouble, we're not going to break any laws. Once everything's redacted that has to be done to protect people legally, we want to see it. So I think that's going to take some time. I think there's a lot of different agencies that need to look at it, but it's one of those tired, just talking points, and that no one pushes back on. No one ever pushes back on that. Mick Mulvaney did this morning on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace. Thank goodness. Thank goodness that guy did. But it drives me crazy.
Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff and all these other maroons, right? They say we filed this to get the entire Mueller report. They never say what's available by law. So then the American public hears them, we want the whole thing, we want the whole thing. And when it comes back appropriately redacted for things like, classified information, grand jury information, the things that are literally protected by law or Department of Justice procedure, all these crazy leftists are going to be like, that's a cover-up. It's a cover-up. And I just don't understand it. I mean, Barr could not have been any more clear. Mr. Mueller's going to help me. It's going to take us about 2 weeks to go through the whole thing and make sure we got it exactly right. And then I'll come talk to you on May 1st and May 2nd.
It is it's political posturing. It's just so completely transparent, and it really bums me out when people don't push back on it. When they all they're on Real Time with Bill Maher, and they're on Samantha Bee, and they're on these other shows, and no one pushes back. It's just like, yeah, we all want to see it. We all want to see the Mueller report. However, you'll have a hard time convincing me that people on the left, they just don't want to start a whole bunch of new investigations. They're just going to go, oh, this guy testified to this, let's look into him. And then so they can continue this bona fide witch hunt for another 2 years going into the 2020. We still have a lot of questions. There's still a lot of unanswered questions because Lord knows Adam Schiff is the modern version of Sherlock Holmes, and I'm sure Adam Schiff, the greatest detective who ever lived, is going to find a lot of stuff that Robert Mueller and a team of like 40 investigators and a team of FBI agents over 2 years. I'm sure they missed a lot of stuff. I'm sure that because it wasn't their full-time job every day
talking to like
for the last 2.5 years. It's a joke.
They issued thousands of subpoenas, talked to like 500 people. What new stuff? I mean, I'm just to the point where this is just complete harassment. And
that's
Trump,
all it is.
Did Trump violate a norm not doing his tax returns? Yeah, he did. He probably just should have done it. And I'm kind of the school of thought that he didn't do it because he doesn't make as much money as he says he does, and it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
But he just probably shouldn't have violated that norm, so that's kind of on him. But the rest of this, just the outright harassment of his kids, the outright harassment of other members of the administration. I mean, it's exhausting how angry. And then my favorite thing this week, the thing that actually made me smile, despite it only being a 4.5, is all these leftist organizations, MoveOn.org and everything else, had organized protests to get the Mueller report released because they were just sure that the Trump administration was just not going to release it. They were going to put their foot down. So they had these nationwide protests planned. And then the administration's like, yeah, we're going to redact it according to the law. No, the president isn't going to review it for executive privilege, and then we'll give it to Congress, and the AG will testify. So their whole protest idea is blown, so they decide to protest that the Mueller report didn't get to Congress by the arbitrary deadline they had set. These protests, literally, I've seen longer lines at a Whataburger. I mean, there was like no one there. And they're actually posting pictures of it. It was hysterical. Like, why would you post that picture?
They're hanging on. They're hanging on.
Oh my God. Well, the other problem,
and the tax thing is really a big yawn. It's a big giant yawn, and it's so easy to predict exactly where this is going to go. Exactly where this is going to go. I don't need to see the president's taxes. I really don't. I really don't. And it terrifies me that Congress can start going, hey, IRS, do our bidding, look into this person, go back years before he ever ran for private office, because we just want to see what he was up to. We just want to see. Like, there's no, once again, they're like, what crime are you investigating? What are you? And since when did, like, I understand there's oversight in terms to how you're running your affairs when you're in public office, but to go back to let's go find out what he was doing before he ever ran, and I tell you, they don't want to open that can of worms. They don't want to open that can of worms, because then I want to see everybody's. I want to see every member of Congress's tax returns, and I want to go back just as far as with Trump, and I want to see how these people. I want to see just exactly how. Do you go into Congress, with a net worth of a couple $100,000, and then you make about $170,000 a year, and then 2 years later, you're worth $8 to $10 million. I'm keenly interested in that. I think if people knew how many people went into Congress, just average, ordinary citizens, and then they come out multimillionaires. That's who's the stolen valor guy, that I went to Vietnam, that scarecrow looking
Blumenthal.
Who?
Richard Blumenthal.
Yeah, Blumenthal. Blumenthal's made himself a tiny little profit. A tiny he's done quite well in Congress. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm keenly interested in how that dude did that.
Well, isn't he
I want to know how
Illinois?
Maxine Waters made all her money. All of them.
I think he's also from Illinois. There's quite a machine up there. I don't know.
Is Blumenthal Illinois? I thought Blumenthal was like New Hampshire or somewhere on the East Coast.
I can't remember. I just know that he and Schiff both have that like emaciated, ill-looking thing going on, and they're just both such negative Nancys. It's just like, ugh.
I really don't know how Adam Schiff gets elected. I really don't. I really don't. There's like, everybody's like on this creepy Joe Biden thing, right? Just creepy Joe, and we'll get to that probably as soon as I finish talking here. But it's like, in terms of creepy, like, I find Richard Blumenthal to be exceedingly creepy. Mm-hmm. And this is just my opinion of the man. I just find him to be like, I would not want to be alone in a room with that guy, just because he just gives me the creeps. Adam Schiff, the same way. Adam Schiff, I tell you what, that guy's like, oh man, the Scarlet Letter. When they have like the Puritan judges, like all of these guys, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Adam Schiff, Richard Blumenthal, they would all be they'd fit right in like a Puritan witch trial jury or judges. You know what I'm saying? Just put them in the robes and the little buckle hats, and then like, you're a witch. We think you're a witch. Prove you're not. They just seem like they would fit right in there.
Right.
It's a serious level of creepiness. Okay, Joe Biden. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, because this one is exhausting. This one to me is, I found myself last night agreeing wholeheartedly with Bill Maher, which doesn't happen a lot, but I gotta give Maher credit when I can. This whole Joe Biden thing. I listen. Is it creepy? Yes, it's creepy. He has. But that, I don't think it's on him anymore. Now, whatever. it's not going to like this is not going to stop him from being elected. This is not going to sway the hearts and minds of the American voter because everybody knows this person. Everybody has this relative who hugs just a little bit too long. They're the close talker. They get in and they grab your shoulder. Everyone has this person in their lives.
Oh
So
yeah, and there's been pictures of Joe Biden doing this for years. It's been a meme on the right forever. I think it was
hmm
actually the Washington Post that coined creepy Uncle Joe. Like
yeah.
that's already in the calculus, and when you're listening to these women's stories, you're like, okay, took you 4 years to say something. Oh, wait a minute, you took a picture of the moment and had it framed, and now you're offended? What?
And can we now agree? And this is what Bill Maher's point was last night on his little HBO show. It's like now, ladies, you're good enough, you're strong enough, you're smart enough. When someone invades your personal space like that, hey, back off. Hey, knock the person's arm off your shoulder, push them away. You're allowed to do that. You're strong, powerful women. These are like, and that's the other thing. These are like women in the political sphere. Like at some point, it's on Joe. It's on Joe. He's a close talker. He gets right in there. He wants to smell your hair because that's his little thing. However, you're a big girl now, and you can, gently push him away and go, "Hey, dude, personal space." At one point, that's my question to you. At one point, is this also on the ladies for not like standing up for themselves? Then, like, I don't
Um,
know.
I, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's just like normal human interaction. So I'm like an ATM space person. I like my ATM space, right? Unless I know you
Okay,
or we're close
what is?
friends, but I'm one of those. I like a wide berth, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, but I mean, if it's someone I don't know well or in a context I don't really understand, and I didn't know this till I went to grad school, and once I became aware of it, a professor of mine who was a close talker actually backed me into a wall and I smacked my head into it. Um,
Ha.
but that was like when the light went off, like, oh wow, I need a lot of personal space. But when you start doing business in places like Brazil and other places in Europe, you can't have that ATM space and be culturally appropriate. So I've kind of like turned off the meter in some situations where, okay, this is just the way culturally some people are. I mean,
Yes.
you couldn't go to my girlfriend Carolyn Chavez's house without getting hugs and kisses from everybody.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. However, and it happens to me a lot in Los Angeles, and it's a lot with some members of the Asian community. Like
Hmm.
you're in line at Rite Aid, and there's some person, I don't know where they're from, some Asian looking dude who's just like right behind you, like
Yeah,
right behind you. Like I can feel you breathing on my neck. And I'll do the thing where I'll turn around and I look at them like you're way too like you look at them in the face and then you look at the ground and then you look back up
yeah,
like, just indicating you are in my space. And then they look at you like, oh, that's right, I'm in America. Like
right.
this dawn of realization hits them.
But I mean,
So
it's just like I can't imagine um, for them to be equating this to some kind of predatory behavior or sexual assault. It's just the Me Too movement gone too far. It is wholeheartedly political. I believe it's coming from the Bernie Sanders campaign. And if you think in a Democrat primary where no one but Joe Biden is talking to middle America and not making them feel like uneducated rubes, okay? If you think it's going to make a huge difference, I'm telling you right now, it's not.
yeah, yeah. I still think creepy Uncle Joe is the the guy who can get the most done. He's the one that actually concerns me a little bit
Oh,
on the
he
left.
he concerns me. I think he'd have a big shot at some of those Midwest states that Trump won. Um, the Union
Yeah.
boys could go home to Union Joe. Yep, I
Yup.
think he could be a real problem. But I also kind of agree with some other commentators that have said I think his best day will be his first day. Like,
Yeah.
two things are driving his numbers right now, along with Bernie Sanders, if we're going to be honest, right? Bernie Sanders has his base from the last primary, so they're going to pick him, the Bernie Bros, right?
Yup.
Joe Biden was vice president. He has the most name recognition, and not everybody watches politics as much as we do, so they might not be as familiar with a Kamala Harris, a Cory Booker, probably Liz Warren. I think she's toast, but that's just me. Um, and
I
certainly some
agree.
of the outside candidates, they've never heard Pete Buttigieg or however you say his name.
Pete Buttigieg.
Buttigieg, that's how we're going to do it? Okay.
That's how I'm talking about it. I'm
And
talking
then
about
I
Pete
actually
Buttigieg.
I actually saw an interview with Andrew Yang, and I don't hate him, which is kind of scary. Like, I'm not going to vote for him, but, if people actually, he's a very smart man, and he has very good reasons for everything he's proposing. He's the only one I've heard of all of these people so far that has multiple well thought out policies on a range of issues, and they're all grounded in some kind of coherent philosophy.
What about the Starbucks guy? What about him?
I think he's going to be a spoiler, and if I was going to be honest, he's probably going to be a spoiler for the diehard Never Trumpers, which I think there's like 5 of them left, and the Democrats.
Yeah.
Well, he's a liberal capitalist. He doesn't really have a party anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I want him to stick around though. Him to stick around and just get a little. I want him to have his time in the spotlight. I want to circle back around to the Joe Biden thing, and this is I think the real this really is his kryptonite. It's the Hunter Biden of it all. Have you been following this story?
Oh yeah, I heard about that story. The Ukrainian money.
Yup.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a legitimate problem.
It is a legitimate problem. And dear gentle listeners, I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but gather around ye old time radio, because I just found out about this one. And this is super dubious because this goes back to with Hillary Clinton, the Clinton campaign getting help from the Ukrainian government in the 2016 election. So I always found it was weird that like the Ukraine had so much in here, and maybe I'm having an MSNBC moment, but I guess there was a gas company
Right.
back in the day. What talking this the 2000s during the Obama administration?
Right.
During the Obama administration, there was this Ukrainian gas company that was doing they were accused of doing some rather dubious things, and money was flying around, and somehow Joe Biden's son Hunter gets appointed to the board of directors to this Ukrainian gas company. So he's making like $1 million a year, because we know when you think of Ukrainian gas companies, you automatically think Hunter Biden should be running this. Like, I don't understand that at all, other than it just looks like a giant just payout. It's like Chelsea Clinton having a gig at NBC News. Like what?
For why?
She's making 100,000. So anyway, Hunter Biden gets appointed to be on the board of directors. He's practically running the thing. This Ukrainian gas company. However, they were being prosecuted. There was a prosecutor in the Ukraine who's like trying to raise the red flags. These guys are up to no good. Yada yada yada. And then magically, mystically. This is the accusation, and we'll see how this plays out. The Obama administration comes in, makes some calls to the Ukrainian government, and the prosecutor who was looking into this Ukrainian gas company in the Ukraine, suddenly that guy goes bye-bye. He's reassigned to something else, no longer to prosecute this case. One of the dudes who was on the board of director of the Ukrainian gas company is in hiding. The dude is like AWOL to this day, like so. But it all just magically, mystically went away.
Well, and then I guess the reason we found out about it, because in 2015, at some point, Joe Biden told an abridged version of this story, did not necessarily talk about names or anything like that. He was just kind of talking about his prowess and getting things done. and kind of let the cat out of the bag, and then some people went and took a little look-see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the New York Times did a story on this like back in 2015, and they were kind of like one and done. They're like, "Hey, what's up with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden with this crazy Ukrainian gas company?" So they can go back and say, "Hey, we did a story on it." Certainly didn't do any follow up. They certainly didn't do any kind of due diligence, like why did this magically, mystically just suddenly disappear? And
Hmm.
so when you have, this is total Rachel Maddow territory. This is total. I'm totally swimming in the Rachel Maddow pool. So if you have the Obama Biden administration tied up in the government of the Ukraine, and they can call in and they can get special favors, and then you go to a couple years later when Hillary Clinton is running against Donald Trump, and then all of a sudden she starts getting help from the. And I did a video about this on the YouTube channel a long time ago.
You know,
Like it's a matter of public record that meetings were held in the Ukrainian embassy, and that there was officials in the Ukrainian government that were helping the Hillary Clinton campaign.
but
That is foreign interference.
you know who else got in trouble for talking to the Ukrainians?
Oh, a little guy by the name of Paul Manafort.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
Was he just
who was
talking to
work?
the wrong Ukrainians? I don't know. I guess I don't
Oh no,
understand.
that's when he was working for the Podesta Group.
Yeah, I know.
And that's the other thing that like and this is such a great segue. This is such a great segue. I have to sit and look at it for a second. But this is why, oh my gosh, it just became an even better segue because as I'm thinking about it, I thought about the next thing. So this is the deal, you guys. This is why people chant lock her up, lock her up, because Joe Biden could do this kind of thing allegedly for his son Hunter, and no one blinks an eye. And the Podestas can go do business with the Ukraine, and no one bats an eye. And when they fail to register as representatives of a foreign government, they're allowed to file their paperwork late. However, Paul Manafort sits in solitary confinement.
Hmm.
That's one of the things that he's convicted for. So this is why people chant "lock her up," and this goes like when conservatives do something, when the right does something, they go to jail. Hillary, you guys, and there was people on Facebook talking about this, like, "Oh, you're still on the Hillary email." Yes, I am still on the Hillary. Like those were a lot of that stuff was marked top secret, and you can't just give it to your friend Huma to give it to her pseudo pedophile husband to email to God
Well,
knows who.
but now we know. We know
Right.
based on Lisa Page's testimony that the reason she wasn't charged is because the DOJ is like, yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah. So this is why people chant "lock her up," and then you've got Michael Avenatti and the
Oh
woman
God.
he represented who brought forward completely false allegations
Mm-hmm.
against Justice Kavanaugh, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. I don't think anybody's following up on that. They're just like, oh,
Something's
they
happening
said
to
this
him
stuff.
now.
They piled on, and then you got Michael Cohen and just perjury left and right in his testimony to Congress. And you can go back and go point by point. He's lying. He's lying. I can prove he's lying, and nothing's going to happen
Well,
about
he's
that.
going to jail. Did you read his latest?
Well, you know what? He needs to go. He needs to go to jail for a little bit longer. I did not read. We'll circle back to Michael Cohen. Then you got this Jesse Smollett
Oh God.
guy who does this no jail time. And this is why, listen, for me at least, and I've never been to a Trump rally. I really, really hope to go. But this is why people chant "lock her up." It's kind of about Hillary Clinton, but it's really about we have a two-tier justice system. We have two sets of laws.
Mm-hmm.
The laws don't apply to Democrats if you're connected. And America is like, we're getting so used to it that people are just, oh, yep, that's how it is. That's how it is. It's Chinatown, Jake. Now, here's where it gets even worse. So that's why, in my opinion, that's why people chant lock her up, because I'm insanely frustrated by it. I'm insanely frustrated. I don't want to live with two sets of laws and a two-tier justice system. So Christiana Amanpour, celebrated journalist over at CNN, she's interviewing Jimmy Don't Call Me James Comey the other day,
Ew.
and she legitimately, and this is scary. This is not comedy. She legitimately was asking him, shouldn't the FBI have stepped in when people at Trump rallies chant "lock her up, lock her up"? Isn't that the equivalent of hate speech? And shouldn't the government do something to shut that down? And I'm
Nope.
like, I know this chick didn't grow up in America. I know she's from another country, but like for a journalist to she legitimately and with a straight face pose that question. Shouldn't the government step in and shut that down? Shouldn't they stop that? And Jimmy, don't call me James Comey. God bless him. And on this occasion, he's like, well, that is covered by the First Amendment. Yeah,
Good
he like had
answer,
to take her to.
James. Good answer.
But oh my gosh, at what level are we? At what level are we when like journalists are like, shouldn't the government be shutting that down? That's terrifying. That's Orwellian. That's
I
1984.
mean,
Okay,
you haven't
I
seen these, like this, the CNN main account. It used to be just Brian Stelter. It used to be just Tater Tot. Okay?
yes,
He would like endlessly watch Fox News and he'd be super critical of the hosts and this, that, and the other thing. And then I swear to God, the Mueller report came out, and have you seen the ratings?
oh, they're wonderful. They're
Oh no, they're
wonderful.
wonderful, but I mean, like less than 1 million people for just about every CNN. And I mean, Rachel Maddow's audience just went kaboom, right? So now
Yes.
they're on this full on Fox assault coming out of the CNN main account. It's like, what?
You know what
They're
I would
your
like to see?
competitor. If you'd like to get their numbers, do a better job.
Yeah. And here's what I would like to see. I would like to see what CNN's ratings look like if you took away airports. Like seriously, I
No,
think
I
I
know.
think they would take another dip by at least 2/3. By at
No,
least 2/3.
does the measurement really take that into account? I thought it was households.
I don't know where the Nielsen boxes are.
Okay.
And that's a very, very closely guarded secret. A million years ago, the Nielsen sent me a diary, and they asked that I keep track of the shows that I watched, which I did, and I took that. This is before I even moved to Los Angeles. I was living in Ohio at this time, and it was a blast. It was a blast. I loved it. I loved it. It was like being on a jury. Uh,
This show
but like
blows.
they won't let you know. My
Mm.
buddy Bert Kreischer and I, the comedian, we both did our 1 hour specials around the same time. And Bert did
Mhm.
this thing that I thought was just extremely funny, but it was true. He kept telling these audiences, he's like, "Hey, I just filmed a 1 hour special, and when it comes out, it's got to get big ratings. If anybody in the audience is a Nielsen family, please talk to me after the show." And and he claims that a girl came up to him after the show and she's like, "I'm not supposed to tell you this, but yes, I am a Nielsen family. I have one of the
Right.
boxes in my house." And Bert's like, "I will pay you $10,000 to watch my show." Because each Nielsen box represents like a couple 100,000 viewers. So I don't know if it ever worked out or not. But
Wow.
I just thought, oh, that was brilliant. I wish I would have thought of that. I wish I would have thought of that. It's crazy. So here's the thing that I want to kind of turn around, and this is on you and me, Gypsy. Is like I'm tired of being reactive. I want to be more proactive, and this is also another nice segue because it is a numbers game. Like right now, the right wing news and the right wing, can't even say it like media, but like talk radio, everybody's reactive because there's
Mhm.
just not enough. There's just not enough. We don't have that strength of numbers. We're never going to set the narrative. We're never going to set the narrative. The mainstream media, the legacy media, they just have the numbers where they're always going to be able to set the table, and we're always going to be like, "Oh, isn't that stupid? Oh, isn't that?" I really want to start having stories on here, and I'm going to give you a lot of credit. You're very good at this stuff, at being proactive. You actually, here's a story that should be on your radar. I really want to steer into that more in the upcoming months. And that was like the Joe Biden, Hunter Biden thing. Like that's to me, that's the real story. That's the one that everybody, should be talking about. However, they're going to keep it on. Oh, did he hug her too long? So that's
See, I
uh,
just go dig on the left because that, I'm not getting into this whole thing on the right where, and I mean, I still see it and it drives me nuts. I mean, I've pretty much written off the Bill Kristol and company. I don't really consider them on my team anymore.
yeah, because they're not.
No, but I mean, the Daily Wire guys and, some other folks, even the Federalist, whoever, National Review, they'll have legitimate criticisms of the president, but they're still on my side.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Because they
absolutely,
say when he
absolutely.
does good things too. So, and I mean, somebody who's had a complete evolution on this Russia probe, who just had an amazing article here earlier this week, is Andrew McCarthy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. He basically says Mueller didn't do his job. The only crime he was there to investigate once he came on board was obstruction, and he boned on it. Boned on it. He didn't even do the job he was being paid
Wow.
to do. I mean, I'll send you the article if you haven't seen it, guys. Go look at it. It's Andrew C. McCarthy. It's at National Review, and it's in front of the paywall. And it's basically his final words on the Mueller probe to this point, like the entire necessity of the whole thing to begin with, and how he thinks Rosenstein was, didn't even set it up correctly. He didn't even give the guy a real scope. In order to have
Ah,
a special prosecutor, there is supposed to be a crime to be investigated.
that's
There
that's
wasn't.
the other that's the other terrifying notion. That's the other terrifying notion is that the report went that it even was put together.
Yep.
That it was even put together should terrify most people.
But anyway,
It,
I was kind of talking about like my focus is all on the left. Like I don't think most people on the right because the mainstream media is not covering it at all. Most people on the right don't know what's going on in the Democratic Party right now. They are about to implode.
I don't know. I don't know. Why do you think that is? I think it's interesting that you say that, and then I'll respond.
Well, because you have this new little group, the Justice Democrats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Alexandra, the best supporting
Ocasio.
actress, who has a lot of Twitter followers, so that's supposed to be a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Never mind, her approval rating is lower than Trump's, and
Yeah.
that's just being honest. So there's an organization within the Democratic Party that's called the Democrat um, Congressional Campaign Committee. And those are the people that do all of the big fundraising to run the House races. They came out with a rule week before last that said no contractor who wants to work with the 200 some odd races, in the House for them, can work on an insurgent primary campaign like Alexandra Ocasio Cortez or Ayanna Pressley ran. And they had some pretty high end contractors working on those particular races. The Democratic machine just put an end to that. So the Justice Democrats who ran Cortez, Ocasio Cortez, you have to use both of her last names, I forgot. Forgive me.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Forgiven.
is freaking out because they know, I mean, consultants are capitalists. They're going to go where they have the most opportunity to work, right? They're not
Yup.
going to run, a couple of insurgent primary campaigns that probably aren't going to go to a general and give up on these 200 other races. That would be insane. So they're freaking out a little bit, and they've already publicly said they want to primary people like Cuellar down in Texas, who's very popular in his district, Lipinski, who happens to be a pro-life Democrat, et cetera, et cetera. No
So
consultants are going to be
how does
working with
this
them anymore. Hmm?
I don't know. You lost me somewhere. I don't see where this is because the lobbyists aren't allowed to work with
The actual
the candidates.
campaign consultants, so where you get your campaign managers from, who does your media buys, all of that stuff. The
Well
actual
then,
campaign architecture that the Democrats have built is now off limits to people who want to primary incumbents.
Wow, that's yee. Well, good luck with that.
Well, you can't work for one of those campaigns and work with the Democrat committee that has all the money.
Well, that just seems like they'll have to rectify that. They'll have to rectify that.
They're not going to rectify that. The really interesting thing when you dig down deeper is the people that are complaining about this new rule, the Progressive Caucus, right?
Yeah.
Went to Rep. Cheri Bustos from Illinois. She basically told him to go pound sand. Nancy Pelosi backed her up and said, the money we raise is to reelect incumbent Democrats. And when you look at it, if you look at the number of seats that were gained, right, all of those folks come from relatively moderate districts. They're not socialists. They're not going to elect an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Henry Cuellar's district wouldn't. It's a relatively, I mean, he has a 100% rating with the NRA. He's from Texas, right? So
yeah.
They're like, we're concerned with our incumbents. We want to maintain our majority. These Justice Democrats are very motivated. They're very aggressive. They're very digitally savvy. They're going to start primarying high visibility races heading into the 2020 presidential election, and it's going to get blown up into infighting within the Democrats. Because, I mean, that's all it is at this point. Then, if you look at Bustos and the committee she actually put together, they all come from a coalition within the party called the New Democrats. The New Democrats are capitalist, pro-business, fiscally conservative Democrats. And that's the team that's going to be recruiting all the candidates because that's where they actually won House seats in 2018. Ocasio-Cortez won her seat, but that was already a Democrat seat.
Yeah.
So they're looking to gain and preserve the majority they got. They're cutting the socialists off. And if you look at the Progressive Caucus, one of the reasons, this is great, this cracks me up. One of the reasons the campaign committee put this in was under pressure from the Congressional Black Caucus because two of their members had really ugly primary races. They weren't beaten, but it still cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
The two members that were primaried are also members of the Progressive Caucus, where the Justice Democrats like Ocasio-Cortez sit. It's really hysterical. They just don't even know what they're doing anymore in terms of policy.
But like, it's wild. It's like you almost wonder, like, do they need to? Like, do they need to? Because the wonderful thing is you can have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and you can have Bernie Sanders going, hey, we want Medicare for all, we want free college, we want all this, we want, socialism pretty much. And then you can have the old school, like blue dog, I'll call them blue dog Democrats, be like the voice of reason and go, okay, you guys, we don't want all that. We just want this. Isn't their agenda met either way? Isn't it just a matter of time? Like, you're not going to get the full Bernie Cortez socialism thing tomorrow, but eventually you'll get it.
But no, I don't know, because these other Democrats have already split with the caucus on a couple of key votes that they know that their districts aren't going to go for. And if they don't start splitting with them on immigration, they're really putting their reelection at risk. I mean, what's going on at the border is just ridiculous.
That's a whole. Listen, that's going to be next week's show.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows it was a Democrat caucus that voted no and dug their heels in. That's going to be really hard for some of these kids to pitch in the suburbs, I tell you.
Yeah. And here's the border thing. It's beyond ridiculous now. It's beyond ridiculous now. And I know we've said it here before, and so I'll say it again now. We are a nation of immigrants. We have a very generous immigration policy. You just can't have every Juan and Juanita and Carlos coming into the country just unchecked.
Well,
it's
and the mask is off because Castro actually proposed open borders, and so did Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'd
Let's
tear
tear
down the
down the
wall right
walls we
now.
have, decriminal. No, 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 no. Why should we be the only country in the world that doesn't have a border?
Yeah, it's
No.
it, it's wonderful that the mask is off, and now that you know we're dealing with, and that Trump was right. Ooh, fun to know fact. Fun to know fact. Uh, I was driving home yesterday, and guess what plane flew over my place of residence?
Air
It
Force One?
was Air Force One, and she's a big old bird. She's a big old bird, and Trump was flexing. He was flexing. The approach that that plane took into LAX. Now maybe they do this. Maybe they do this because they don't want to occupy the same airspace. I don't know. But that dude flew over the San Fernando Valley, like low and slow, just flexing. Just it was fantastic. I got a picture, but I was driving, and it was, whatever. I didn't want to wreck the car. It was fan. It was great. It was great. So I want to talk about the border. That's like a whole nother show. I do want to try to do a little bit of pop culture stuff. Oh my gosh! And here's the other thing that we have to do before we segue into a little bit of DC Comics universe movie stuff. Holy smoke! The people on Facebook, like I said at the beginning of the show, I never go to like my personal page, yada yada. I'm in, I'm in my lane, bro. However, I started scrolling through like these are friends of mine. These are people that I've worked with on television shows. These are highly intelligent people. And the things that they're saying about the president, it is it's now maybe it's just posing for Facebook posts and oh I want to look funny and but like people have no idea of what this administration has accomplished in 2 years. It's crazy, and that's why I did that video. Do you like him now? Like, if you Google, and I would tell everybody to do this because this is a way when you're at parties and when you're having polite dinner conversation, you should really look just so you have this as ammunition, not just so you can speak and actually speak intelligently when these people flip out about stuff. The list of accomplishments of this administration is insanely huge. Like everybody, you can legitimately make the argument everybody's life is better. Everybody's life is better when it comes to prison reform and opportunity zones and low unemployment and people off of food stamps and small business optimism and the GDP numbers and manufacturing jobs and wage growth and all of it.
Mhm.
Everyone's life is better. It's these people like my buddy's like, oh, the windmills cause cancer, and like, oh, okay, that's what we're all worried about. That's what we're all worried about. Okay. So do yourself a favor. Google Trump administration accomplishments, and you're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked, and it's going to be a wonderful kind of shock. Okay, so here's my big news, and this is for you, Gypsy. I watched Aquaman.
I thought you were supposed to see Captain Marvel.
That's happening tonight. That's happening
Oh.
tonight. But I watched Aquaman, and I didn't hate it. I was fully prepared to actually like loathe and despise that movie. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't horrible. I'm glad I rented it, but wow, there were some bad performances in there.
Oh, I'm sure, but that's not what that movie was about.
No, and like, hey, good for you and all your fellow uh, kids that just want some eye candy. Congratulations,
Little Momoa. Yep.
that dude is fit.
Yes,
That
he
dude
is.
is fit.
Props to Lisa Bonet. You done well.
The real life Khaleesi. The
There
real
you
life
go.
Khaleesi. There were
I
some
saw
things that I actually
Unplanned, the movie.
say what?
I saw Unplanned this week, and the projector
Yeah,
didn't break. Everybody go see that movie.
that one is that one's doing good at the old box
Yeah,
office.
it's not a
I need to go to
comedy by any stretch of the mark, but it's somebody's real life story, and I've actually seen her interviewed since I saw it. And no matter your position on the issue, that movie will change your mind to thinking a little bit differently.
Well, and that's the wonderful thing about getting involved in the culture
Hmm.
because someone comes out with a movie like our friend Nick Searcy about Gosnell,
Hmm.
and then now you have Unplanned. So this is why uh, the right needs to be involved in the culture because you go see a movie and then you talk about it.
Yep.
You're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Did you know about this? Oh, I had no. I really thought Planned Parenthood I thought they all did mammograms, and I thought it was all women's health issues. And then you start
Nope.
coming out with, oh, here's the reality. Here's the
Yep.
reality,
And
and it's
Abby
shocking.
Johnson has never. She was sued by Planned Parenthood once right after she quit to try to gag her, saying she might have patient information which she didn't possess. So Planned Parenthood actually lost. And every public statement she's made since then, they haven't come after her because she's not lying.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's what is it? And this is like hearsay, I guess, but I think according to her, it's like what is it like 2% of Planned Parenthood clinics actually can do mammograms and do cancer screenings.
well, most of them can do cervical cancer screenings. I would be surprised if it's even 2% that can do mammograms. That's a
Oh,
hugely. I mean, a mammogram machine is very expensive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Planned Parenthood is in the business of killing babies, and maybe we said this last week. It sounds like we did, but it's worth repeating. Here's my deal with it. With the whole issue, you've got like a closed loop here. Planned Parenthood, they go, oh, we're about women's health issues. We're about women's health issues, and then you look at the numbers, you're like, not
I
really.
don't think
You're
so.
you're really in the business of making money off killing babies.
Yep.
So, be that as it may, they say, oh, we're under attack, we're under attack. Please give generously. Then they have all these fundraisers. So they're making money off the procedures. Then they're making money off the fundraisers. And already they're showing a profit. Already they're showing a profit. And then the federal government says, oh, this is so important. Here's a bunch of money. And then Planned Parenthood says, ooh, thank you for all that money. And then they donate it to the Democratic Party and they donate it to Democratic candidates. So
Mhm.
I don't like being taxed for that. I don't like being taxed for that. It's like being told you have to pay these union dues when you don't want to be in a union and you don't get a choice over what the union does. Like listen. I don't want a penny of mine to go towards an abortion. And it's just it's like a scam. It's a phenomenal scam. Please help. We're under attack. Here's a pile of money. Then the government says, here's a bunch of more money. And then you can go, okay, well, we want to support these candidates who are going to support us. So you're being paid by people to give the money right back to the people who are in
Yeah.
on your scam.
The new director is not a Cecile Richards. I mean, she was just evil, but she's not as politically connected, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that organization is going to be as effective as it once was.
Is it wrong that I found Cecile Richards kind of hot?
No, it's not wrong. I think she's a ghoul, but
Oh, yeah, she is, but she's like a Bond villain. She's like a James Bond villain, but you're like, I'd throw her one. That's like it's like my other friend, what's her name? Kristen, the first openly
oh,
bisexual
Kristen
from
Cinema.
Arizona. Yeah, I tell you, it's got to drive her crazy. She's not more famous. It's got to drive her crazy.
No kidding.
Okay, so I'm trying to. Here's what I'm gonna just bear with me. We got another minute left. Unplanned. I'm at a very good uh, Bing. I'm at Box Office Mojo because I want to actually throw some numbers at you. They don't have. It's grossed. Lifetime gross is 12 million, almost 12 and a half million. But they're not showing me the ding ding. I want to see what the budget was.
I think the
I
budget
want that
was two
movie to make
million.
money.
The budget was 2 million, I think, because
Two?
they were shocked the opening weekend made 6.1.
That's fantastic. If
Mm-hmm.
if if the budget was two,
Mm-hmm.
all time domestic, opening weekends adjusted, all time. Dang it. Wait, show me the budget. They don't have the budget, but I'm telling you, we'll go off your number. If it was no, 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 the production budget they're saying was 6.
Oh,
The
was
production,
it? Okay.
yeah. So okay, so they've already. So if the production budget was 6, and the box office so far was 12, and it came out March 29th. They need to make 18. They need to make 18 to that's like break even. I want that money. I want that movie to be insanely successful. So yeah, go out and see that movie. Support that movie. Right? The rule of thumb used to be, and this is for the Hollywood kids at home, the budget of the movie, and then you had to double that for advertising and billboards and yada yada. Now you have to triple that to do stuff online. And I don't know what
Well,
what
I'm
their
going to say
plan was.
their ads got rejected all over the place. I've seen some ads on Fox, and most of it's been word of mouth and digital. So,
Yeah. Well,
like they didn't get to
that's
run
good.
trailers for the Marvel movies, I'll tell you.
Well, I'm going to go see Captain Marvel this evening so that I
Finally.
can get caught up and see Shazam later on this week and then be fully prepared for Avengers Infinity War. This is the final battle. So,
I actually
if
already have my tickets for Endgame.
hopefully you don't go to that same theater. I
Oh, I'm going
how
to that same theater. If that happens during that, it's like, no, I'm not leaving. You fix this now. You fix this now.
You fix it now. You refill my popcorn, and that's
Exactly.
Diet Dr. Pepper,
Well, that was
mister.
the whole other thing. Do I really want to sit through this movie again and spend another $15 on popcorn and a soda? No, I'll wait at home. I'll see a new movie because the other one I'm super excited about is the Elton John
I'm not
biography.
super excited
That looks
about that.
fantastic.
That's gonna be a Netflix movie for me. I can't see. I'm not gonna be shelling out the big bucks for Rocket Man. However, I do want to see it, and the more I know about Elton John, the more I totally respect that dude. His work ethic is crazy. Just the sheer body of work that guy has. He's a national treasure. Oh, and Mick Jagger. Feel better soon, Mick. I guess he had his heart surgery. I had tickets to see the Stones in Pasadena. That's not happening. Hopefully they reschedule. But I just love Mick Jagger had a tweet the other day. Thanks for all the well wishes. He goes, I'm feeling much better and I'm on the mend. I just thought, what a totally Mick Jagger thing to say. I'm feeling much better and I'm on the mend. Like, I never would have added the and I'm on the mend, but I'm totally putting in that into my lexicon. I'm feeling much better and I'm on the mend. Like, and I'm on the mend. That just made me smile. So get better soon, Mick. You guys, there's so much good stuff at the Loftus Party. I meant to say this up top, but sign in. You can post. You go to stories. You click on that there's a little space on the top of the website, and you can create a new story. And if you've got an ID and we've approved you, which happens very quickly, you can post stuff. We've got great stories. We got border stories. We got pictorials of. Paul put up a new one about Monica Bellucci. Holy smoke! There's fantasticness. There's funny stuff. There's political stuff. There's hot girls. There's great recipes. It's a fiercely unique website that we want you to be involved in. You're fantastic people. You're all looking good, and I think you're going to be ready for your swimsuit season because it's almost here. Now I'm rambling. We will talk to you next week.